You are watching the Huddle Ninja here with Jason Anik and Tony Farmer. And Tony, I asked you for 3 reasons why you think the Kansas City Chiefs will win Super Bowl 59. I'll be surprised if the referees aren't on this list. But what stands out for you about this team, about this matchup that falls into Kansas City's favor?
All right. The first reason I believe the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes versus backup linebacker Oren Burks. He's the weak spot in the Eagles defense. I know he's been playing really well lately, filling in for Nakobe Dean, but he's a backup for a reason. And Patrick Mahomes toasted him in the Super Bowl last year when Dre Greenlaw went out. Mahomes was 9 for 9 targeting Oren Burks with a touchdown, 134.7 passer rating against Burks, and Burks had a 32.1 coverage grade according to PFF. Tell me Mahomes, Kelsey, Samaje Perine are not going to be really excited to see Oren Burks back on the defensive side.
That's a very, very good call out, and thank you for rekindling those memories of Super Bowls gone by. What do you got for number 2 here, Tony?
The second reason I think the Chiefs will win, they just have a big coaching advantage in this one, guys. You have Andy Reid on the extra rest, Steve Spagnuolo versus Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni on the other side of the ball. When you get Andy Reid extra time in the lab, he's damn near unstoppable. You know he's always good for a trick play or two in big spots like this. Remember the first Chiefs Super Bowl win where all the guys in the backfield all spun around at the same time at the goal line? You know he's going to do something like that. When the Eagles have the ball, Sirianni is the guy that's going to be deciding if we go for it on 4th down. This is a guy who fans wanted him to lose his job because of his decision-making earlier this year. So I see a situation where he screws up, he makes a bad, dumb decision to go forward on 4th down, and Steve Spagnuolo does what he does best in those situations, brings some sort of exotic blitz, shuts it down. And by the way, the Chiefs coaching staff had a great game plan to stop the Bills version of the tush push, if you will, or the brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. Don't be surprised if that play isn't quite as effective in the Super Bowl as we're used to seeing it from the Eagles throughout their history.
Does that sort of thing, though, not play into, and maybe I'm the only one creating this narrative out here, I don't know, but does it not play into the underrated element, potentially, of Sirianni, and even calling out the offensive coordinator? Does that not play into that narrative on the Eagles sideline with this, Tony? Sort of sleeping on them.
I mean, maybe they use it as locker room material. You know, our guy isn't respected, and everybody's talking about Andy Reid, and nobody's talking about our guy. We like our guy too. But like I said, there were rumors about this guy losing the locker room at the end of last year. Remember how terrible they finished? So I'm not sure they're going to rally around him. We'll see. I'm still not sold on Sirianni. Like I said in yesterday's show, I think he's kind of a middle-of-the-road coach. Massive coaching advantage here for the Chiefs.
And then what do you got for your third and final reason about the Chiefs and their chances in Super Bowl 59 here?
The third reason I think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl is Chris Jones. This guy can absolutely wreak havoc in the run game. He can obviously wreak havoc in the passing game. Don't forget the Eagles have some injuries in the interior of their offensive line. My guess is Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson both play in this one. But if they're not 100% and you got Chris Jones coming to town, that is bad news. The strength of the Eagles, we all know, is their offensive line. And I think that Chris Jones can neutralize that strength. He always seems to come up with, whether it's a batted pass or a sack or even a big pressure in big spots. We saw it in overtime in the Super Bowl last year. Chris Jones didn't win the MVP of the Super Bowl the last 2 times the Chiefs won, but he played at an MVP Super Bowl caliber level in those 2 games. He always comes up big.